Good morning, everyone. Welcome to a second edition on a Monday of the Morning Huddle from First Financial Bank. As we are here, if you're out and about, stop by, join us. We're going to give away a gift card at the end of this, $50 gift card. Everyone is eligible to win with the exception of Coach Marwitz. And but anyway, stop by. That'll be from Brookshire's, and join us here. We're going to talk all things East of Maverick football. Before we do that, Coach Hewlett joins us, and let's talk a little bit about the weather, Coach. What a crazy playoff season.
Yeah, it's, and I guess you probably go on and say that it's first one ever like this across the state. Just the massive ice that people have gotten and affecting different regions. You had the far west and the Panhandle region a couple of weeks ago, and then it's kind of funny when it starts getting into the big schools of the Metroplex region, it starts to become a big deal. It's just those Panhandle schools or just the 2A schools. It's not a we'll just go on. But when some of the big boys start to get affected by it, it becomes a big issue.
Yeah, I'm sure. I actually made the comment over the weekend that I figured the UIL was getting a little antsy with the weather conditions, because it was such a widespread storm affecting such a large area. Of course, you and I talked about it off the air. Pictures from the Metroplex area, just unbelievable.
Yeah, I haven't seen any, but I know I was driving from the field house home early this morning and heard them talk about it, and they just said on the radio that they feel like it's going to probably be Wednesday or Thursday before they can return to somewhat any form of normalcy over there. So evidently it's pretty bad.
All right. Well, Coach, we're here to talk about football. Let's talk about last week. We had Monday Night Football down at Gordon Woods Stadium. We picked up our second victory in 2 attempts this playoff season down there. 49-23 the final. Game actually not even that close. They picked up a couple late touchdowns, including one at the end of the game.
Yeah, it really was, and we got out and played well. Really did. Probably caught Bangs on an odd week, and just being such out of rhythm. But I think our guys played well. Like you said, not even that close. We had majority, knowing or thinking we were going to turn around and play on Saturday. We had majority of our starters out. We actually didn't even finish the third quarter with them. So it really wasn't that close, and just proud of our guys the way they performed.
Their quarterback, he was J.T. Newton, of course, their big threat there. He took some shots early on, and he sort of stopped some of that spinning and stuff that he was doing early. I can't remember who the defensive player was that put the big hit on him in the first quarter, but sort of slowed him down a little bit.
Yeah, we talked about it last Monday. Kind of hard to remember back that far, but it really felt like that game was equal from a skill perspective, or it might even could have given them an advantage in that area, but really felt like we had an advantage on both the offensive and defensive lines, and that's where we made plays from our skills, but it was one up front, and particular play you're talking about, Ron Harris. By the time he let one loose on a long completion, just really put a good hit on him, and they had to call the next couple of plays of just handing the ball off, and I think that probably really set the tone for us early. And Ryan and with Dylan Miller and Cruz Slantes did a great job up front, pressuring him all night long, and it makes a difference against a team that's going to pass it when you can get pressure with just 3, or every once in a while have to send a 4th guy and then get to cover with the rest of them. So that was big for us.
Defensively, Bangs takes the opening kickoff, put together a pretty decent drive, but then the defense makes a stand. They kick a 38-yard field goal, 35-yard field goal, something like that, to take a 3-0 lead. But Eastland answers back quickly. The Mavericks do, with a pass from Moylan to Samuel Joyner, 26 yards. What impressed me most about that play there was that Josh was running away from the play and throwing across his body back across the field to get it to Samuel wide open down the sideline.
Yeah, we kind of felt like, in retrospect, that was probably the play of the game, just because they had us in 3rd and long, and although we liked the play, and obviously we wanted to call it, Braden Brockles, our left tackle, we were running a throwback screen, and he kind of did a poor job of. It's hard. You always want your lineman to block, but then on certain plays, every once in a while, you don't want him to block, and he blocks too long and kind of stops the guy's momentum, and which allowed him to see the play. But then now calling Braden out, Braden comes back and realizes it, does a great job, and goes and walls him from the other direction, which allowed Josh to lob the ball over. And Sammy made a good catch, really easy catch, but then was able to stick his foot in the ground and got the corner turned on JT Newton, in which, kind of at that point when we outran him aside and got in the end zone, felt good about it, only being up 7-3, but knew we were going to match them athletically and, got momentum there, and, from there on out played well.
And once again, had several guys with a bunch of yards on the ground. The most yards we've thrown for in 3 playoff games. I think Josh somewhere around 185 yards through the air.
Yeah, that's I don't know. Once again, you and I have talked about that, and we talked about it on air. That's really doesn't matter to us. Running, passing, who gets it, who goes where with it. But I think you do have to look into the factor that if it's cold and if it's windy and everything else, sometimes you got to change game plan a little bit. So what makes it good for us is when multiple people are running the ball. I know Joe or carrying the ball, however they get it. Josh had a good game, so did Sammy. Zach Carlton showed back up in the 70, 80, 60, 90, somewhere in there yards. We get the ball, Caleb Honey, he was good, and boy, I don't know how many people, probably out of 10 or 11, 10, 12 team completions, they were at about 7 or 8 different guys. So just, when we spread it around, that's what we feel like makes us better.
Well, you have a touchdown pass, the first one going to Samuel Joyner. Then in the second period, early in the second period, Josh runs one in from 14 yards out. Then late again in the second quarter, 9:25, we got a turnover, and Moylan another 4-yard touchdown run.
Pass to JD next.
Yeah, pass to JD. That was a big play. Yeah, you're right. You spread it around, a bunch of different people getting involved in the ball game.
Yeah, it just makes a difference for us offensively. But once again, we played well up front, blocked them up front, and that opens things up for those guys behind them to get yards and touchdowns.
And that's one of the things that we try to, the skill players get their names called a lot, but we always make it a point to make sure to mention the offensive line, the defensive line during the game, especially with the job they've done this season, protecting Josh and the rest of the ball carriers.
Yeah, and then kind of, I don't know, I say we struggled with it, but there for probably a 6 to 8 week span, we were still trying to figure out where we needed to put everybody defensively, and then on top of it, battling with an injury or two, and you think, what does 1 or 2 injuries do? One injury can move one guy on this side of the ball, this position, which puts another one in, which puts another spot on the defense, and just really can affect your whole team. But once we got them figured out, we've got 3 D linemen that are playing primarily defensive line. We got 5 offensive linemen that are just playing offensive line, and we've get to take those 8 bodies and keep those guys fresh and not play those both sides. That's really made a big difference for us.
3rd year in a row to go to the state quarterfinals, and this year we're facing, we faced Muleshoe 2 years ago, lost in a cold ball game down in Odessa. Last year we played at Gordonwood Stadium against the same Wall team. Wall and Eastland started building a traditional rivalry here in the playoffs. This will be 3rd year in a row we face them, not counting basketball and baseball.
Yeah, not just in, like you said, not just in football, but in every just in every sport, and so I don't know, it just always seems to come down to it, and it's going to happen again this year, and we're proud to be where we are with our program. There's not a whole lot of people that can, statewide, any class can say they've been this far for 3 consecutive years. I know everybody kind of has their runs and whatnot, but, it's hard to do that. It's hard to, people don't realize how hard it is to win every district game for the last 3 years, or just to get this far. You've got to have a lot of kids work hard throughout an entire school year and summer. You got to avoid injuries, but then when you do have injuries, you got to have other kids step up and make plays. So we're proud of where we are and what our kids have done and accomplished, and just not satisfied yet. We want to keep going and see if we can push this thing a little further.
And if my math is correct, I think in the last 3 seasons we've suffered 4 losses. 1 and 2 years ago, 3 last year, and none so far this year.
Yep, that'll be correct. And I kind of feel like the season before that, we kind of left at least one on the table where we blew the big lead at Bangs. But and all things happen for a reason. And in hindsight, that was kind of the springboard that got us going for this week's or for that next year. And so maybe that'll just keep us going.
All right, Coach, we're going to take our first break. It'll be a 2-minute break. We'll come back with more of the Morning Huddle on KTX Sports. 7-7, we're at First Financial Bank. A good crowd assembled. I think we made our 20 people, so someone's going to get a $50 gift card when they leave here. But Coach, I know you've been concentrating exclusively on getting your team ready for whenever we get to play this game, which will be tonight at 6 o'clock at Gordonwood Stadium. But a lot of football action taking place around here, especially in 2A Division I. We're the last of the quarterfinal games to be played. And over the weekend, New Boston defeated Dangerfield.
Yeah, that's a district rivalry, and they played last year, obviously in district, played in quarterfinals last year, and played again in district this year. And Dangerfield's had their number, and they've never beat, or they hadn't beaten them. And New Boston kind of came out and took care of the ball and put a pretty good whipping on them. I think I talked to Coach Thomas this morning. I swear he quoted me that Dangerfield had negative 13 total yards in the game.
Wow.
I know for a fact they scored their 2 touchdowns off kickoff returns. And New Boston's only loss was the Dangerfield district, and that was a game in which New Boston had lost 6 fumbles. So you got to kind of throw that in there. So I'm assuming just on as a whole on the year, New Boston's probably the better overall team. I know they're really big, and then got some good fast kids.
So the winner of tonight's game, will take on New Boston at a site, date, and time to be determined, probably Saturday somewhere.
Probably so. We kind of had some stuff already set with them and Dangerfield, and then the weather pushed everybody back. And I know we were going to be planning on playing this Friday, but we're not going to be able to do that or want to do that now. And so where we were playing's already taken. So I don't know. We just kind of threw our hands up and said, wait to see. There's not going to be enough games left that. There's not a stadium in the Metroplex that there's not everyone that's going to be taken, so we can find something, and we'll just figure it out.
Cameron Yo in a close ball game, 28-26 over Hallettsville.
Yeah, from I just listening to it on the radio or getting text about it or reading about it. Hallettsville kind of was on top that whole game, and then sort of faltered there at the end. Even had it, is a 20. I guess 28-20 game. No, it's 21-20, and they stopped Yo and got a face mask that allowed the drive to go, which allowed Yo to go on in and push the score to 28-20, and then they drove right back down the field and scored 4 seconds to go, made it 28-26, and failed the 2-point conversion. So it was a really good game. Probably says a lot about Yo. They're state champions last year, and probably good character and play from behind, and willing and able to get the win.
And White Oak shuts out the previously undefeated Franklin 31-0.
White Oak must be pretty good. They held Grandview to 14 points. And then whipped up on shut Franklin out. Don't know much about them. Right outside of Longview, notoriously been a really good basketball school. It's the first time they've really made a run in football, and I know they got good kids. And from what I've just heard, in the coaching world, they're plenty good, especially on defense.
And dropping down to 2A Division II, Cisco's on the road today. They head up to Friendship to take on Canadian. That's a big football game.
Yeah, it is. I'm actually lost my train of thought. Coach West was texting me just a second ago. They're in Merkel on the way, and I know they're worried about it just because they've had a history with Canadian. It's not real good, but they'll probably be fine. They got a better team this year, and they'll go out and play, and they'll handle the weather and conditions fine.
All right, Coach, we're going to go ahead and take our final break. It'll be another 2-minute break. We'll come back with more of the Morning Huddle here on KTX. Welcome back to the Morning Huddle here on KTX 97.7. Terry Slavens, Coach Brian Hewlett with you. And Coach, we've talked about last week. We've talked about playoff games that have been going on. It's now time to talk about the Wall Hawks. Another undefeated football team, 2 undefeated. One of them's going to end up with a loss after tonight.
Oh yeah, and just when you get this point of the year, you're pretty much, you can find a team that might upset someone the first round or might have an easy game and then upset someone the second round. And once you get 4 games in, you're not going to find anybody that shouldn't be here. So everyone that's left, and which those other 2, I guess all the other 3 have already played. So there's 5 teams left. All 5 of them. I told the kids this week when there was 8 of them left going in the quarters. All 8 teams are good enough to win it all. It's just a matter of only one of them's going to make the plays and get it done. So, we'll go out there tonight and see how it goes.
Weather forecast, of course, it's going to be cold.
Cold, nasty.
I heard somebody ask you earlier off there, How is the field conditions there? Have you talked to Brownwood?
No, but I've seen a picture of it. It's as cleared off as can be. So it stands, everything. It's cleared and ready to go.
All right. Send-off is at 1:30 today. Y'all are leaving at 1:30?
Yeah, we'll go ahead and leave just a little earlier just to make sure that if we run across a bad spot in the road or two, we don't have to chance it and, go ahead and get there a little early.
All right, talk to us about the Wall offense. What can we expect from them?
Same as they've been forever, I think, and just seem to kind of reload kids. If they lose, they got their line is probably not near as big as they were last year, but they're probably faster. And in some ways that's worse to play against what they do. They're a flex bone team, and that they'll go run midline and veer a lot, or toss or something to. When they're going to one side with those little linemen, they're going to cut your backside flow off, and which makes it hard. So big to them doesn't always matter, and they're going to come off the ball as fast and as hard as you can imagine. They got the same quarterback as last year, same fullback as last year, and their two slot backs both played last year, and just overall fast, quick, and aggressive.
Will they throw the ball?
If they need to, they will. In the past, kind of always said make them throw, and of course, you still want them throwing the ball, but man, they can if they want to or need to, and it's just so much obviously that helps is a matter of surprise. You're geared up for run for 36 consecutive plays, and all of a sudden there goes 4 fast receivers sprinting down the field. Your 11 are going the other way, and so you don't have to be extremely accurate or great at passing to be successful with what they do. So yeah, they can if they need to.
Defensively, what will they show us?
Our stack just really, very mirrored. What we do on both sides of the ball is really the same as them. It's just on the offense, we're doing it from a spread look and sometimes throwing the ball, but it's similar. It's just getting the ball to different kids in space. And on defense, we're both stacked teams, and just from there, and they're going to put a 250-pound nose guard out there just like we are. They're going to have 2 athletic, fast, 215, 210-pound defensive ends, kind of just like we do. And they're going to have 8 guys behind them that can get to the ball in a hurry. And, it's just those windows that are normally there against lesser teams just get closed a whole lot faster.
Defensively for the Eastern Mavericks, we've talked about this going back to the Littlefield game. They had a really, really talented back coming in to play us, and our defense was able to shut him down or at least contain him. Last week it was J.T. Newton that they were able to contain. Who do they have to stop on Wall? Is there one guy that we got to stop?
Well, the last 3 games they've had 3 different guys in each game, all 3 over 100 yards. So you can load up and stop one, or the second one's going to get you, and you load up and stop them 2, or the third and fourth ones are going to get you. So. I mean, I'm telling you, it's kind of a pick your poison against them. Breck did a good job first playoff game playing an even front and cutting their offensive linemen and didn't let the fullback get loose, and the 2 slot backs had probably 200 yards each. Some people play them in odd and make them give to the fullback and the quarterback, shut down the slots. Well, then the quarterback, fullback each have 150 yards. So. I mean, just really, they are a very good team. They're dynamic. They do what they do well. They got quarterbacks been there before, and you'd like to stop them all, but in all reality, they hadn't been slowed down much this year. No one's played them close. I don't even know what the closest, probably 3 touchdowns, closest game they've played all year. So they're all over the place, and you just got to get in there and battle with them, do the best you can.
One of the things that some people are saying about this version of the Eastern Mavericks, the 2013 version compared to 2012, 2011, is that we're a little more, have more weapons than maybe what we've had in years past, as far as having the big run game that we maybe didn't have quite as good in years past.
Yeah, I don't know. I think we've always done a good job of just kind of adapting to what we have. 2 years ago, we had a quarterback that just had a huge arm that could push it down the field 60-plus yards, and 2 fast receivers, so we tailored ourselves around that. Last year we had a 205-pound tailback that could run downhill, so we kind of just tailored ourselves off that. And this year, like you said, we do have lots of weapons, or that we feel like we do. We got a quarterback that's probably our best downhill runner that can throw the ball. And we got a couple of guys that we can get lateral with and spread you out wide. And then, you know, when you load that up, when we take our chances down the field, you know, we got to connect. And that's going to be a big key for us tonight when we do throw the ball. We got to be able to connect on it in this wind and cold and, you know, damp conditions.
Looking at the Wall results, it looks like their closest game was against Sweetwater, 42-28. So that's a 2-touchdown score. Everything else 3 or more.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I'm just telling you, they hadn't been pressed, you know, and that's something they. And people look at it from an offensive standpoint. I look at for them. I look at it from the other side of the ball. They do just such a good job of pressing you from the very start of the game. You know, and if they've got the ball first and they score. And then they're so good defensively, and if you go 3 and out and they force a short punt, or they've got the ball right back and they score again, and you're down 14-0, and you're 7 minutes in the game, and they've only snapped it 3 times because they're going to milk the clock down and snap it with about 1 second on the play clock, and you just get you out of your game and you press. You know, a big thing is we would like to get them into the fourth quarter in a close game and just see how they can handle themselves. You know, and I'm sure they'll handle it well, but we're still going to give them that chance if we can get there and, you know, try to get them out of their game or make them play from behind.
I can't remember where I read this, but somewhere defensively they're allowing an average of around 10 points per game. Yeah. Defensively, we're allowing an average of about 20 points a game, but if you throw out the Grandview game, which I know you can't do, but if you could, you throw it out and that number comes a lot closer. Scoring-wise, on paper, these two teams look pretty even.
Yeah, they really do. You know, and that defensive side, you know, as far in both sides, a slight difference in the two is, you know, if you go back and look at us, all 3 of our playoff games this year, we could have pushed in 2 to 3 more touchdowns per game. You know, we just believe in getting more kids playing time and getting our starters off the field and letting them play. You know, and they haven't always done that, which is fine with that's how they choose to run their program. That's fine. You know, so it's 2 evenly matched teams. I'm telling you it is. You know, it's just got to be a matter of who handles, you know, 16, 18 degree wind chill better, who makes plays. And keep in mind, these are 16, 17, and 18-year-old kids. I've been there before. Been told to throw the ball here and decided to throw it somewhere else, and it's picked in a quarterfinal game in Abilene. And, you know, just why, I don't know. You know, you just got to hope that you go out, perform, and play better, and, you know, and win.
2 years ago, we played them at Wiley, at Abilene Wiley, and came from behind. I believe, if I remember correctly, scored with less than 2 minutes left in the ball game, and you made the decision to go for 2. We won that game 15-14, I think.
Yeah. You know, even in that game, even last year, and last year's probably somewhat bit of the score. They were up so much and had relaxed on defense. You know, we really never had a problem moving the ball. And, you know, and I'm not saying we aren't tonight, but we've had problems scoring points against them. And I'm saying this, you know, they're very athletic. And the closer you get to the goal line, you know, the better they play. They've done a good job. I think we have 5 or 6, I can't remember, red zone turnovers in the last 2 games against them. And so you got to take care of the ball the closer to the goal line you get. You know, like a couple years ago, we got in and felt like it was playing a grinded out running team. It was the best decision to go ahead and see if we could get the lead right then and there. You know, we had timeouts left, had a chance for an onside kick, but gets back into that whole theory of making them play from behind and see if they could go 60, 70 yards in a minute and a half. And, you know, they weren't able to do that night.
And last year, we got down early to them and then had to try to battle back. So tonight, back at Gordon-Wood Stadium, it'll be our 3rd game. Actually, 4 out of our last 5 playoff games been at Gordon-Wood Stadium, going back to last year.
I guess so, probably so. I ain't thought about that.
But 4 out of our last 5 playoff games at Gordon-Wood Stadium. Good luck, Coach. Get the guys all down there safely and get home safely.
Appreciate it.
All right. Before we sign off here, one programming note. We have a drawing for a $50 gift card. And Sunshine Hewlett, if you pull your name out, you're in trouble.
Oh, it is mine?
We did a good job on that one. Sunshine pulls her own name out of that. She's the one that's $50 gift card. Compliment the Coach Marlon's going to stop fouling off. I tell you right now. Look at him.
One other quick programming note. We'll be back on the air tomorrow night, 6:30 tip-off. Lady Mavs district basketball action on KTX 97.7. Thanks to my engineer back in the studio, Matthew Hauser. Thanks to my guest, Coach Brian Hewlett. Thank you for your time this time. Till next time, I'm Terry Slavens. Have a fabulous week, everyone.